Okay, go ahead, Marty.
There goes my second joke. Okay.
He killed it, Marty. He killed it.
I had it set up, but I can't put it on tape. Okay. So there's a
You
lot
can
of
say it
highlights.
again.
Turn off the recording and I will. There were a lot of highlights to 22, 23, but it wasn't just a single year. It really represented the collective wisdom of all of you here as part of the team. And Garrett, the last one on board, but clearly up to speed in terms of your contributions and your consideration, your thoughts, and your abilities. Super fast learner and a great help. But all of you here contributed to the success of the district in 22, 23. And what a success it was. Our membership started at 1099. Today we're at 1218. I'll say nothing more about that. You have two experts on that on the panel tonight. And that was really, though, our number one focus in the years leading up to 22 and 23. Having gone through COVID, needless to say, it was really, really difficult for everyone. The second thing I think was a highlight was our focus on service and service projects. And specifically, for the first time, we engaged the district in something known as the Day of Service, which it was held May 23rd. And that was a multi-district, I believe 8 districts, and multi-state and multiple numbers of Rotarians all getting together under one banner to highlight Rotary as a service organization and to increase our impact as well as the awareness of the community as to what we did. Highly successful. It is now expanded into Wyoming, Colorado, and one other state, New Mexico maybe, as well as Brazil and Canada. So this year it'll be on May 18th, and we're looking forward to the district doing as much, if not more, as clubs become more aware of the opportunity to leverage their service in its public imagery. The second thing of service successes was our focus on Bermuda, and the fact that Bermuda, which was described to me recently by a non-Rotarian, but a very important Bermudan, as 4 clubs who acted like they were family members who never got together for anything or talked to each other. So having faced that, plus the fact that Bermuda was really ravaged by COVID, we set out to do something big with them, and we did. Over Labor Day weekend, we had a service project on the environment, restoring 2 beaches and mangroves, and we included about 140 native Bermudans, our Rotarians, our interactors, and some interested stakeholders, as well as about 100 people coming off of the cruise ship that were members of our zone who had attended a Life Beneath Water conference and felt on the ground that they were actually getting their hands and feet dirty and muddy and getting into what it really is to be a Rotarian. So the feedback from them was essentially really excellent. And it was successful. And finally, I would say we were fully subscribed to the $250 new member grants that we offered a dozen clubs, which was an incentive for members who hadn't been in Rotary for a year to come up with a project of their own volition and to get district funding of $250, no questions asked, on those projects. Those were 3 successes in service. There were many more, but those were 3 top ones. Thirdly, I would say we just recently, today, in fact, passed a resolution for the board to continue the process that George devised to nominate our future leaders. So I won't get into the complications involved in it, but it has worked twice and it will work again this year. Fourth, I think in terms of the foundation, we had increased our numbers of Paul Harris Fellows and major donors. And Mary and I are very much deeply involved in an initiative to create, for lack of a better term at the moment, the Bermuda Environmental Endowment Fund, which acronym is BEEF, B-E-E-F, kind of cute. Anyhow, we're looking to raise between $250,000 and $2 million to put into a Rotary Foundation managed fund, administered by the Rotary clubs in Bermuda and a couple of selected stakeholders. This fund will provide seed money for global grants. And if we reach our goal, upwards of $80,000 a year in perpetual returns without touching the corpus. So it's kind of a daunting task, but we are really working hard on this, pushing the rock uphill, And hopefully by the time the centennial comes for the Hamilton Club in March, the rock will begin rolling and gathering moss on the way down and gathering acceptance and take off. And the last thing I want to say, staying within my 5 minutes, I hope, Mr. Timer, we're still good, is that
you still have a few seconds left.
okay, we finished the year with a budget surplus. So the year that George finished had a $67,000 surplus. I just found out about that last week. Okay, and
Wow.
the year that I finished had a $34,000 budget surplus. So we're sitting on $100,000 in the district. But the board has come up with a creative solution to make it fair to all concerned, to deal with the situation of learning, paying for the learning that we do for pets in this coming year, as well as rebating $20 per member off of the next billing cycle in January. That motion was passed less than an hour ago, and really happy to bring you that news. I'm very happy to have served. I'm looking forward to being on the nominating committee coming up to find our future leaders, and I hope that's still the case, I believe. And
Okay, thank you, Marty. That was a very nice presentation. Okay, Lauren, what's
Mine is easy. Marty said everything I needed to say, so I don't have to say anything. I'm just going around encouraging the clubs that they need to continue to do what they're doing and talking with them about the reasons that they're Rotarians to begin with. And really, that's been my message. I'm not really trying to tell them all about Rotary. I think they already know about that, but I'm really just trying to encourage them. And I can say this with all sincerity, that their response has been absolutely nothing short of accepting and amazing. I think sometimes we get caught up in the minutia of all of the nuances of what we do, and we forget why we're here. And so the encouragement is to remember that you're a Rotarian because of who you are. And when you meet like-minded people, the doing becomes very easy because of who you are. And so when you miss that, then what happens is I think we get caught up in I don't particularly care for what you do, and we're looking at other people instead of looking at the projects that we do and the day of service that Marty talked about and all of the other things that make Rotarians great. We miss that. And so that's been my message. And I think, and you asked me, Matt, to talk about the future of the district. Well, I can say that I think the future of the district is bright. I think it's extremely bright. And I think it's bright for two reasons. Number one, because of our existing diversity and because of our future diversity. I think we have the ability to show the world how our differences make us stronger and not weaker. And I'm absolutely convinced that this district is probably on the path of the greatest and most significant growth we've ever seen, simply because of who we are. And that's my message, and that's where I think we're going. And my visits with the clubs have, for me, proven that. I think the idea of equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion, but that equity piece, that wonderful thing that we see on our district website, where you see 3 people standing on boxes, and first is equality, and everybody has a box that's the same level, same height, but not everybody can see over the fence at the game. But when equity comes in, then you get what you need. And I think this district has been able to figure out how to give people what they need in order to have them follow their passion. And it's not new to me, because it started back in my boob's year, and Mary's year, and George's year, Marty's year, now my year. That's 5 years in a row, 5 consecutive years. And then from me, we'll pass to Cyan, and from Cyan to Garrett. We're talking 7 years of completion. And I think we're on the right track. We're doing it right. And I think, everyone's noticing us because we're number one in membership growth. We are. We're not going to change. So that's my 5 minutes. I'm done.
Well, thank you. You actually finished within 3 minutes.
There you go.
That's very, but diversity, I see diversity as a way of maximizing intellectual resources. And New York may be the most diverse city in America. And I think it's the greatest city in the world. because of its diversity. So I think there's a lot of strength in diversity. So, okay, what's your
Good.
vision for membership growth here?
I am very excited about membership. I mean, and my task is to get everybody excited and on fire. If they are on fire, this is what I'm working with the presidents, because I go around and I'm conducting workshops and seminars and getting every member to take membership as an individual responsibility. But let me deal with the statistics as it is. On July the 1st, or the beginning of the club year, the official registered membership was 1,169. On November the 1st of this year, the official membership in this district is 1,218. And by the way, I need to say that I have sent to each one of you a number of things on email. My presentation, which could take 1 hour, but I will not do that. But you will have everything there in your email. If you look in your email, you will see the outline and so forth. Now, the growth that we have had has been primarily in the new clubs that has been formed. And Bina has been the live wire in that area. She has worked effectively and efficiently. And so we have a number of new clubs and satellite clubs that are working. Now, there is a great emphasis on new clubs. But for me, our greatest success is going to remember that old brooms, new brooms sweep clean, but old brooms know the corners. And if we can get our clubs excited and energized and on fire and vitalized so that they will motivate their members, then the membership will grow. Actually, right now, I am down in Jamaica. I'm here in Jamaica. I came down with 200 dictionaries out of 600 dictionaries in a joint project with my club and 2 clubs here, Rotary clubs, in a literacy program. And I'm speaking around in clubs down here and giving my fire in the clubs and membership, and also for them to become partners with us. Because one of the things that we are emphasizing is that clubs need to come together some more and do things together so people know what's happening and are energized. One of the things I personally would love to see is if every past district governor is assigned to an area governor. So if every area governor has a past district governor working along with them, and that area governor with the past district governor gets together the clubs that are there in that unit and have mini meetings. So we will get back to a stage that has been missing because many clubs do not get involved in district involvement. They do not get involved in things that are happening. Many clubs are like funeral homes. They gather together to bury the dead. But we really need to have more energizing with clubs coming together. And so there are things that I am emphasizing. As I go to each club, I'm giving every member a wristband that has the Rotary logo on it. But you not only have a wristband, but they're given a second wristband. And that second wristband is to find somebody who you are going to get that wristband shared with so they can become a member. Not only that, each person I'm given is a little blue card that has a 4-way test on it, and on the back, the objects of Rotary. So if each person finds a friend, a relative, a colleague, a kid to share that interest with, then I don't see a problem with our membership becoming 3,000 members in another year and a half. It all takes just one person doing his thing. And also, another thing I'm emphasizing is the pin. The pin. I want every member to wear their pin wherever they go. Wherever I travel, I wear my pin. And I want the members to get back to wearing the pin. Also, get back to using the Rotary signs. In your district, in your club, these old Rotary signs have got to go. I have seen some signs on the highway where moss have covered them. We need to really have the signs. Whenever we're having meetings, get those banners up, get those things so that people will know where we're going. The last thing I want to say about membership is that we are in partnership with Toastmasters. This is the greatest opportunity we have because every Rotarian should become a Toastmaster. When you join a club and become a Toastmaster, then you get those club members to become Rotarians. Nothing is as exciting as setting the fire on fire a Toastmasters club. I have 2 Toastmasters leadership in the district, that's in the New York area, who have come to me and have said, we would like to start a Rotary club. And I'm hoping by the mid-January, we will have established a Rotary Club of Co-op City. Because the Toastmasters leaders, and I've taken the leaders around to 4 different clubs. I said, I need you to come to these clubs and see that the meetings are different. They attended the club in Pelham. So you see a type of club. They attended the club in Bronxville. When they attended the club in Bronxville, it was fascinating how the entire club membership focused on that Toastmaster and they answered questions. And so we need to see that the Toastmasters organization is a really helpful way. Also, there are things that we can learn. For example, whenever we complete a project, for example, we have a training exercise the other day. We need to have
we have exceeded your time, but I appreciate your message. And of course, Toastmasters teaches us communication skills. And I believe that the hallmark of leadership is to be able to communicate. So I think, and on the pin, I always wear the pin, and I find that people treat me nicely when I wear the pin. So it's a win-win situation for everybody to wear the pin. Now, I'm going to go over to George here, and you're going to talk about the MAP committee and how we can influence our regulations.
Thank you. The MAP committee is Mahbub Gregacaro and Mark Welshmer, who's recently retired from one of the top 3 firms in New York City as a partner, is a member of my club, and he's working with this committee, which requires a lot of redrafting. We've already drafted what we're going to propose to the membership, which is a redrafted map that reflects how the district is presently administered and governed and has been for the past 2 district governors. It's a major change in how we do business as a district. We also, thanks to Mark, discovered that our bylaws, which have been in place for many years, are inconsistent with our present map, and will be even more inconsistent with our future map. So we're going to propose to the membership that we accept a revised set of bylaws that will incorporate by reference the entire map, and that puts them together. Now, almost everyone here has most likely run into 1 or 2 items when they were district governor that just didn't seem right that came out of our map. So if you'd like to do something about it, send me an email describing the change you'd like to make. You can make it specific or you can make it general, and we'll do the pencil work, okay? But it's a significant set of changes that we're going to propose. And what we're going to have to do is get the board of directors and the district governor to agree with us before we propose them. And then we have to submit it to all the clubs for a future vote at a meeting of all the clubs, which most likely will be the business meeting of the club at Lauren Russell's final conference. So that's it. If anybody has an idea of something that they'd like to see changed in the map, just let me know about it in an email. I'll circulate it to our committee and we'll go to work on it. Okay? That's it.
Yeah, thank you, George. And we all know how to contact George, or is anybody who doesn't know how to contact George? Anyway, so thank you. That was great. And from Mary is now is going to be in the Council of Legislators on Rotary International, and you're looking for proposals also.
Absolutely. And first of all, I want to start out by saying District 7230 is the only district in North America who has grown our membership in each of the past 3 Rotary years. And a lot of people on this screen are a big part of that endeavor. So congratulations to each and every one of you and all of our members for growing Rotary. As our dean just said, Matt's, we are definitely getting started in this cycle of the Council on Legislation, and it is a very important process. And one of the things that we need to really get geared up for in this 3-year cycle is what seem to be the signs and portents are all in a row that there are going to be significant changes at the 2028 Council on Legislation. And if we use this 3-year period to get ourselves as a district organized, I think that will bode us well to have a voice and a role in some pretty significant changes that are coming down the line in Rotary, especially regionalization. And we don't have time to talk about that tonight, but what I'm asking of you and your brother and sister past district governors, if a group of us could get together and sort of map out how we would like to present Council on Legislation business to our clubs in an effective, concise way, I would really like your good counsel and involvement in that process. As Matt's just alluded, we have literally another month to get proposals for the 2025 council. I'm not sure that we're going to get that part done, but I think if we do a good job of training both our cohort of past district governors as well as our club presidents and area governors about the process, we will be ready to really engage with what could be a really change-making process over the next decade in Rotary. And as most of you know, because we were on the districting hot seat, our district and a lot of districts in this particular area are also on the hot seat. It is very likely that any regionalization proposals will impact us very directly. So I would encourage each and every one of you to do 2 things. Please consider working with me on a task force, and for in each and every one of your clubs, let them know that the Council on Legislation process has started. It will impact the future of our clubs, not just the dues that are set at that body, but also going forward and how we run our clubs and district. And we may not have districts as such. And I think the change is coming, but we need to be a part of being the change that we want to see in the world, as the Mahatma taught us. So thank you very much. I look forward to working with you on this important endeavor.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. And actually, if you want to communicate with our committee, if you look at the email, I have not hidden the addresses, so you can use one of the emails I sent out and simply respond to everybody, and you can communicate with our committee. So I invite you to do that.
And I'm looking right at you, PDG Andy, as our resident expert and wise soul in regard to the Council on Legislation. I hope that you will be our guiding star in this process. So I'm really hoping that you will be part of this conversation. We need you involved.
Andy, do you have a comment? You're muted. Yes, I don't know. We can't hear you. We
Still
can't hear
muted.
you. Still muted. Sorry, Andy, we can't hear you. It's probably a computer problem. Anyway, while
Check your
Andy's
microphone audio settings, by the way. That might help. Just check the audio settings, Andy. Go to your microphone, that little up arrow, there's audio settings. Check and see whether or not there's anything you can do there to change that. And you'll see whether or not your input level is moving.
Oh, well, let's go to the next while you're working. Let's go to Helen while we are, well, Andy's dealing with that. And as soon as you are back on, I'll let you have the word. Okay, Helen, our Ethics and Conflict Resolution Committee is probably one of the more successful endeavors in our district in the last 2 years. And maybe you could give us an overview on that.
Well, I just want to say, Mats, that I am so proud to be a member of this district. Look at the outside world. They can't get their acts together. Look what we're doing. We went through the pandemic. We didn't quit. We've gone through so many things. I am so proud of everybody. And as far as membership, we keep talking about membership. One of the most important things in membership is retaining members. And every club along the years has had the problem every once in a while of disputes going on between members and district governors, between presidents of clubs and members. And we finally found the solution. And I thank our leadership, and George, excuse me, I thank our leadership and George McGinnis for giving me the chance to chair this wonderful committee that we got together and created. And I am glad to report that it's been a big success. Within the last almost 2 years, we have successfully settled 7 cases. I call them cases. And in each case, there have been a few disputants. So I figured out one day that we've affected at least 20 members, and 20 members can form a club by itself. So we've retained these members, and probably even more that they were connected with. And we hope to do even more as the future goes on. Very interesting. We consider this not only successful, but an ongoing experiment. And I have to say, this is one of the best committees I have ever been part of. George selected the members of this committee, including me, and I added one person, and it's amazing. This doesn't happen on committees. Each person has a wonderful background appropriate to what we're doing. Each person is a seasoned Rotarian, and each person has is so logical and open-minded and objective. We can have intellectual disagreements and come out as the best of friends, and it happens each and every time. The process has been going along very smoothly. We've already changed a few things, and I've given 3 reports already to the district. I think that the best thing is for 2 reports. I figured out that 2 reports are the best, the beginning of the year and the middle of the year. We have found out that one of the most important things when people are in disputes is for them to have someone listen to them respectfully, privately, discreetly. And I wanted to mention to you that our process begins with a telephone consultation. We started out by having a special email address on the website, but we figured out early on that people were having trouble with this. It was too much work for them to find the website, to find the email, to even think that they were perhaps publicly exposed in some way. So we decided to have them call me directly on my cell phone. It's working beautifully, and I don't mind it. They can call me day, night, and if I can't answer, if I'm driving, they leave a message, I call them right back. And it's never failed. And in that first telephone conversation, I see that it is so important to spend a lot of time listening to the person. I explain the purpose of the committee. I have to assure them that we can be trusted to handle the situation privately and discreetly, as I mentioned before. That's very important to them. I explain this is not a courtroom. We do not tell them what to do. We give them options. And if they decide after the first telephone conversation to go on to speak in front of the committee, we listen respectfully. And if they want us to call in the other disputant, I reach out to that person and we moderate the discussion between them. Nobody has gone further than that second step because everything's been solved either in the telephone conversation or in the committee step. We never had to go any further. And we've had some difficult cases. Each one is entirely different from the other. Also, it's very interesting that in each telephone conversation I had, the person felt comfortable knowing that they would not be demeaned. A couple of people actually got up enough courage to say to me, I hope that nobody's going to talk down to me or embarrass me. Would you please step in if they do? And I had to assure them that this would not happen. We have received a few emails from people who were the disputants telling us that they were pleasantly surprised, thanking us for the respect that we showed and how we made them feel valued.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
Don't tell me I
Thank you.
spoke for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you spoke for 6 minutes, actually.
Really? Okay. Well, anyhow,
Well,
it's been successful.
we'll have
Let
some
me
extra
say
time to
one
talk.
thing here. Before
Yeah.
Helen took over and we had this committee, I was district council for many years. And we were constantly having what I would call brouhahas between the district and a member, or between two members of a club, that erupted several times into litigation, that erupted into people getting so angry at the disputes and the noise, they resigned from their clubs. It was a mess. We even had a district governor that got so involved in the dispute and so angry that Rotary International and its board had been asked to help in the dispute, which is nothing they wanted to do. And he even wrote an insulting email accusing the president of Rotary International of improper behavior. So
those were the good old days.
those were the good old days. They're gone.
But George, you deserve a lot of credit for having formed this committee because you initiated it. It was your idea. But I also want to give credit to Andy because his club, the White Plains Club, has had this committee, their own committee, for many years. And he's been providing us with a lot of good advice on how we could work on our committee.
Yeah, Andy is an honorary member of our committee. Thank you, Andy.
He's honorary whole committee, huh? That's good.
Well, I think of him that way.
Yeah. So anyway, we maybe if we after we finish with the formal part, we can have more conversations. So Ed, I'm happy to see you here. You had asked to be in this meeting, so let's hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and greetings to all of you on the PDG Council. I'm delighted to hear the reports of this district. Your growth is phenomenal. And I just wanted to make sure that Helen, you keep a writing in writing report of your committee, because such a committee needs to be replicated in other districts.
I intend to write an article for the Rotarian magazine, as George says, when we have enough history in our background.
Great, because I think it's so important. You don't realize until you look at from the Rotary International level how much sorrow this kind of conflict, especially among members, among Rotarians, causes in the Rotary world. You know, as district or general secretary, I have conflicts in which weapons were shot at a Rotary club meeting. You know, you don't know this, and we don't publicize these things, but that's how hot these conflicts become.
Yes,
Rotary.
that's right.
Because Rotarians are passionate about Rotary. And so when you get passionate, you get crazy sometimes. So these things happen. I'd like to also thank you, because my belief has always been that the strength and, more importantly, the effectiveness of Rotary lies in its clubs. So that's why, you know, whether you like it or not, the New York City district is the host district, and your clubs are the host clubs to the United Nations and its functions. And so as the host clubs and the host districts, I believe we need to start focusing on the district. And, you know, and so I'd like to consult with you on certain matters throughout the year as one of the reps at the United Nations. And you have Mary Shackleton as another rep. And of course you have Helen, who's a past rep. One of these things, one of these consultations is that, you know, I'm rebuilding the rep network, and I need youth representatives. Now, according to our charter, we can get youth representatives from anywhere. But in my mind, we need to get youth representatives, first of all, from the district or adjacent districts, so that they can function properly. You know, this committee functions on a shoestring budget. So if we have youth committee members representing Rotary International at the United Nations in New York City now, and we have members appointed from Pakistan, let's say, it'll cost the whole budget of the rep committee to bring them over for their meetings. So I'd like to focus on, because we have talented youth in every district. I'm not saying that, you know, I'm doing this just for budgetary reasons. We can find talented, qualified youth in the New York clubs, districts, and perhaps adjacent districts. But so that's one of my priorities, is to build and find at least 2 youth representatives. And you know what happens with youth representatives? They become effective, etc. And you know, surprisingly, a process called time and aging happens. It happens to youth representatives. So they age themselves out of the quote youth category. So we have to constantly look at replacing them. And it's a problem unless we have the participation of the clubs and the districts in that area, I have found. Another thing, real quickly, is that we need to look at reinstituting United Nations Day in New York City. The headquarters of the United Nations, obviously. Here again, we find certain challenges because the United Nations, when they reopened after COVID and for security reasons, are not making their rooms available to outside groups. So the General Assembly room cannot be used as per General Assembly legislation. So other rooms may be used, but it's very difficult with the new security procedures there. So hopefully they're going to ease up more and more. So, you know, when you run a Rotary meeting of this type, you always look at numbers. Rotary is always looking at numbers. So we need to look at how we can not necessarily artificially, but limit the numbers, because the numbers we had before were sometimes in the 1,200 range. There's no place that can handle 1,200 in an auditorium type on the United Nations campus. We can go to a hotel, but then that makes it like any other meeting in the Rotary world. It doesn't make it special. People want to come and witness Rotary's participation and partnership with the United Nations at the United Nations headquarters. Folks, the iconic building means a lot. So we need to look at those things. Last year, we had, of course, a small limited meeting with UNICEF. And UNICEF headquarters, as you know, can handle only about 100 or 120 people in their facilities. So they made that available to us, but then it was 150 actually. So we have to look at the restrictions placed on us as we look to reinstitute United Nations Day. That's why it goes around the world. This year it's going to be in Kenya and Geneva, because they have better access to their facilities and they're not overwhelmed. In other words, I've been to the Geneva one, and we're looking at 300, which the Geneva United Nations can handle. Kenya was looking at 300 or 400, which they can handle in their building. So what I'm saying is, when we talk about the headquarters, we talk about opening up, and the Rotary world wants to come there. So, and timing is important, because we used to aim for the meeting of the General Assembly of the United Nations, or immediately thereafter, the next day after they adjourned. But what happens now is the General Assembly, and then you have the New York Marathon, and it's too many things piled up on other things. So we can't do that. So I need to brainstorm with you all on these kinds of dilemmas.
Yeah. Thank you, Ed. We're about 8 minutes there, but one thing you may want to consider is the church center across the street has a room on the second floor that can handle 250 people, and that can be rented for a nominal fee. And security arrangements will be very convenient, I would think.
We tried that, but I said that the complaint was always that it's not in the United Nations building.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, it's across the street from the United Nations, so that's probably as close as you can get to the United Nations. Otherwise, you would have to talk to the UN. But anyway, so we can open the floor now. It's 6:51. I don't have a need to close down the meeting. If you want to leave, you're free to leave. And if you want to stay and talk, you can do that too. So anybody wants to say something? Any comments?
Helen told me that this was a cocktail hour.
Yeah.
I don't see a cocktail though. Ed, where's your cocktail? Mary's got hers.
Yeah.
You can take out your whiskey now, Ed.
Yeah.
Do you drink scotch or drink bourbon?
I drink scotch.
Okay, there we go. By the way, we were in Hawaii for a day in May. So we just spent 23 hours there, 22 hours, but it was very nice to be back there.
Not long enough.
No, I know. We were on our way to New Zealand, so we were just changing planes. But anyway, okay. Garrett, did you raise your hand?
Syed.
Syed, yeah. You raised your hand. Okay, Syed.
Hello, everyone. First of all,
Hello.
I actually just have to mention about the membership. The membership actually growing for not only by adding the members, by asking or opening up the new clubs. We have witnessed the membership actually growing because we're doing very good projects. Whenever we do the project, we invite all non-Rotarian. And those non-Rotarian come and ask, what is that? Why are you doing this thing? And matter of fact, we have very good example of few clubs. They have collected in one shot, one project, about 8 to 10 Rotarian. And next week, they all got installed and then start working, then other project. And especially, I would like to share this good news is about the membership growth, because when you install or you see the new clubs, they have all very, very energized by doing something for the humanity, for their community, for internationally. And right away, they all 20 members do so many things. And this is the way I have seen. I'm not talking about the club, they are not doing anything the old. Yes, we have actually visited with our DG Lauren. We have almost 95% club we have visited together. And same thing I did last year with the IPDG Marty. And we have asked about the membership and about this project, about their fundraising,